So in this video, we're going to talk about the struggle of learning each other's roles and responsibilities in the relationship. And when a lot of couples get married, maybe they haven't talked about who's going to do the dishes, who's going to do the laundry, who's going to go to work every day, who is going to, all the different roles, who's going to handle the finances, who's going to get up with the kids in the night if they're, so I think sometimes culture has taught us that women are going to totally look after the home and men are going to go to work. But we're in a different culture now. And my thing is, I think the best way, this is just my opinion, the best way is to look at each other's strengths, their gifts. And if I'm a really good cook and you're not, why would I want you to cook?
Unless you have a death wish.
And if I can do laundry really well and you keep ruining clothes, why am I going to make you do the laundry? So, and if you're really good at handling the finances and maybe I'm a spendthrift, why would I handle the money? So I do actually know different couples where, you know, again, with culture, we've been used to the man handling the money and all this. But I know, I can think of tons of examples where, I'll give one example. The guy, he didn't know anything about getting a mortgage or banking or those things, but he was really good around the house. He was a perfectionist, you know, very tidy, loved to cook. So in their relationship, he handles the home and she handles the finances. She has the better paying job. And that's okay. You know, some people might not think that's okay, but that's okay because that's what works best for their home. That's what is helping their marriage to grow, their home to grow. So again, what's your opinion on that?
I agree with that. And I think along with that, one of the greatest roles is to learn to do some of the things that you feel you can't do.
That too. That's very good.
So for instance, I was never a guy who washed dishes. I was never a guy who made the bed. I was never a guy who
you were not domesticated.
I was domesticated at all.
Yeah.
So in our relationship, I learned to, and again, this, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but
I'll do
you
it
can.
for you.
I was begging for that one. Like I make Joy's breakfast every morning. Now look, it's not bacon and eggs and omelets. It's pretty much.
I get a dried up piece of toast.
It's toast with jam and peanut butter.
Wheat coffee. No, it's amazing.
And a cup of wheat coffee. And then
Very good.
And then after I leave, she makes her real breakfast for me. No, I'm just kidding. No, so I make her breakfast every morning. And now I make the bed every morning. I put the garbage out every morning.
And those are things you never did, and it took a long time for you to do it.
Took me a long time.
But now it's natural.
It's second nature. I put the dishes in the dishwasher, and I'll take the dishes out, and after now that might be a big thing. There are probably women that are laughing like crazy at me, like they do all that, plus they got jobs and they take care of kids. Look, it's a big stretch for me, okay? But what I'm saying is, part of the roles is to fill in, and those things may change. So the roles that you had when you were single is different than the roles you have when you're a newlywed versus the roles you have when you had 3 kids. So you may not be able to do some of the same things. You have to kind of pitch in.
And it's different again when you go through the season of being in your 70s and 80s, when maybe your partner starts having health issues. Now you've got to change again what your roles are.
You have to be their caregiver.
All through your marriage, you're going to be changing different roles and how you do things depending on the season you're walking through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so I think it's important to realize that if you're holding on to a traditional role of what you saw mama and daddy do, that kind of thing, it may not work. Like even now when I see it, and it still looks weird to me, not weird in a bad way, but when I see a man at the mall or at the airport and he has the sling on with the baby on, it just looks weird. But I think, hey, that's so cool. But I'm not used to seeing that. You seeing the woman with the baby is a sling. What's it called?
It's
a whatever it is, the sling thing, and the baby's in it. And the baby's kind of like that. You didn't see a lot of those traditionally, and even more now. I think you have more and more like you said,
You have stay-at-home fathers,
stay-at-home dads,
now.
and that kind of thing. So the roles are changing, and the most important role that I think that couples can play are roles where they can serve one another.
Right.
That's the biggest thing. And don't be afraid of being. Some people are afraid of being outserved. See, that's where that competitive thing comes in again. Well, if I do this, is she going to do this if I do this? If she, I think the greatest relationship that's going to last and it won't fizzle out is when both people are thinking how they can best serve one another.
And our roles shouldn't be carved out because of culture.
Yeah.
It should be because it's what works for us, and that's okay.
Yeah, because you create your own culture.
Right.
You
Because
create your own
some
culture.
men, I know 2 people myself, that their wives have really high-paying jobs. So the wives are the ones who go to work, and the husband looks after the home. Now, some guys might look at him and think, what a wuss, he can't get a high-paying job. But it's what works for their marriage. So who cares what anybody else thinks? Who cares?
I'll even say, we were on the road together. We were on the road together for the first few years, and then you decided you wanted to come off the road and only go to just special things that we do primarily when we're talking relationships, that kind of thing. And when you went and got a job, I was so disappointed because I felt like I'm the moneymaker, you shouldn't go to work and blah, 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 blah. But the thing about it is that I meet more and more people who both of them are working, both of them are professionals. Sometimes it's about the money, sometimes it's not about the money. But don't let that make you think you're less than if you're someone who maybe your spouse does have to work. Maybe more and more people need 2 incomes these days. So the traditional stay at home, my mother never worked, and my father was a truck driver, and he had an elementary school education.
I just want to say something, though. Your mother did work. See, that's the other thing. Your mother worked. Your mother babysat kids at home.
That's wrong again.
Like guys
That's
will
true.
say, my mother never worked. My mother stayed home. She took in foster children, other children. She did things.
That's true.
She worked hard. But that's what I'm talking about with culture.
That's true.
My mother
You're
never
right.
worked.
You're right.
Your mother worked hard. Don't you make
She
your...
just took care of kids. What's the big deal with that?
Yeah, your mother worked hard.
No.
So let's stay-at-home moms who are at home. Maybe they've got a little side business for income. They are at home working.
And the husband's saying, what do you do all day?
Right. And the husband thinks he's making all the money.
Yeah.
But that's not true, because if she didn't do what she's doing, he would have to be with the kids. So they're making the money together.
Well, and just watching the kids alone is going to be
work.
a job.
I'd like to see the guys do.
It's more than an 8-hour job. So
yes.
Yeah.
It's not,
so don't let those cultural things that say the man does this and the woman does this.
Right.
And I mean, I know guys, and again, I don't know if they meant well, but if you're watching this, I applaud you, because I think we're part of this discussion together. But there are a lot of guys who feel like when they get home from work, all they have to do now is watch television, and the wife is still wiping noses and breaking up fights with the kids or whatever that goes on in the house. But in terms of roles, think about how you can continue to be a part. And, everybody needs rest. Yes, I know that if you have an outside job, you need rest. But if you also have an inside job, you need rest. But work those things out. Talk them through. Work them out.
I just want to say that to young moms. This is a little bit off topic. But again, yes, the guy worked all day. But the woman needs, even if it's 2 hours, she needs a mental break from the children, a mental break to rest her mind. Because even though she's been home all day, it's mentally, she's had zero space by herself just to think and refresh herself and her thoughts. So, guys, if your wife is home and that's her role, staying home with the kids, please somehow give her a mental break. I know I used to get out for a cup of coffee with a friend sometimes in the evening. Maybe it was a half hour, an hour, but I had a mental break. And it makes all the difference in a woman. It refreshes her.
Yeah. Well, I think we've covered that the best we could for now anyway.
Hope there's something good in there.
Here we are. We've talked about a lot of different things, but let's keep moving forward. So glad that you're with us and we're having this conversation virtually. But share us your thoughts, and we look forward to talking to you and visiting with you on the next Secret Struggle.